Alright everybody, let's take a look at what we've got here so far, and then we're going to do a couple of more mechanisms, a couple of little bit more joints on this thing to get it to do what we want. This is what you're going to make. Got a couple of little objects there turning around at the end of our floor. Those two yellow bars have motors, no problem there, you've done motors before. And then we've got a slider that keeps one of the blue boxes from going too far in one direction. Or the other, but keeps it on a straight line. And then we've got a servo down here at the bottom, the other blue box, which is going to provide resistance. It's going to keep turning that box back to its original direction. And of course, if you had it at the middle of the box, then the thing would rotate around the middle. So let's learn how to do these. I'm going to go back to my original file here. I'm just going to say revert back to the saved version. And I need a little bit more space to work here because my demo file is getting bigger. So I'm going to take the floor object, I'm going to double click on it. It's really just a big box, just like anything else. It's set to be a mesh that doesn't move. So we're going to pull it on out there and get a little bit more space, and we click outside of it. And now let's start with the box that's going to move around here with the slider on it. I'll just create a random shape here to slide for us, and I'll throw some materials on it just for the heck of it. Now I want it to rotate. Like I said, we've done rotations before. Sorry, we want the object that bumps into it to rotate. Let's pull that up a little bit, move it down here some so that it bumps into our object, and we'll just tinker with that a little bit until it comes out right. Something like that. I'm gonna move these things around until they look right, because I'm not gonna want it to collide with the door I built earlier. So I'll maybe move it down a little bit. And now let's set it to rotate. We're gonna do that with a motor like we did before. And top to bottom, probably get it rotating in the right direction. If you screw it up and it turns in the wrong direction, what you would do, there's two ways to fix that. One is to take that motor, look in the user interface, and just set its acceleration to a negative number. That'll move it backwards. Let's go ahead and check it out. We're going to click on the motor, click on UI, click on the motor, hold down the left control button, click there, and so far we've got something like that. It's tossing that box around. It looks like it is going to collide with the door. You got to watch out for that. Probably would block momentum when it hits the door. So we'll move both of those down a little bit. Now it might make sense. You're thinking, oh well, I'll just copy that rotator over to the far side. You don't want to do that. You'll get some really strange results. The motor is tied into that particular object already, and if you go moving it around like that, if you go copying it, the new one will also be routed to the old one. Generally, copying these things just doesn't work. You just have to build each one from scratch. And now I can snap to that top and have it come out to be the same size. And maybe tinker with it a little bit more, make it a little bit longer. Put our motor on it. Tell the motor to turn the object. So far we've got something like that. Okay, so they're moving, that's cool. Not what we want just yet though, obviously. We're going to increase the speed on the motors so they go faster for one thing. Maybe 3. Again, these numbers, I haven't found a good way of determining what the heck they mean. That's not going to work. So just 3 is where we are right now. Now the slider is going to confine the motion of the blue box so that it doesn't go past certain points on either end, and it's going to keep it confined to that direction. It looks like a piston. There's your piston. You want the slider, that's the red one. Click there. The thing can be anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and use the object and try to determine that it will slide from here to here, which is probably not going to work exactly right. what's going to happen here is that it's going to move. If we select the slider, you can see it's got a distance, minimum and maximum, like 500 inches in this case. However, it's going to count that from the original position of the blue box, not from the start of the slider. Alright, let's make the slider. Click, left control, click. Now it's going to handle the blue box. Oh, so you see there's a problem there. We're going to have to work on that. Probably just move things around a little bit. Let's grab those. We can move them all day long. We just can't copy them. We are going to increase probably the speed on them a little bit. Let's see what happens now. So you could tinker with that a little bit. So, oh yeah, there you go. So it's pushing it back. That's good. You could tinker with that a lot, maybe, and get better results. So maybe move it down here a little bit, something like that. So now they're bapping it back and forth, and that's good. Alright, let's do the other thing we talked about, which was the servo. I'm going to make the servo so that I'll position it down here, more or less like where it was before. So this box here, as it rotates around, is going to bump into the servo motor controlled box. So we say servo. Click on a couple of points. We're choosing that axis of rotation. I'm going to put it down the middle of the back like that, and then tell it I want it to control that. And we're not right off the bat, not perfect with the settings. We'll have to adjust those numbers a little bit. Boom. Okay, problem there. You can see what's going wrong with that. Number one, two things. Number one is just the length on this guy. It doesn't need to be that long. We don't want it colliding with the servo end of that box. We want it to go on through. So let's make it a little bit shorter. It doesn't have to be that long to bump into the blue box. And I need to be in push, not move. There we go. Let's snap it to that edge. That means it should bump into the box just right. Let's try it, see what it does now. So rotation's a little bit better. Unfortunately, servo's so strong that it can't push through that other door. By the way, I think well, let's go ahead and fix the servo first of all. All right, so take a look at your servo settings in the user interface. You can see what you've got here. It's being controlled from -90 to 90. The acceleration is how strong the servo is. So let's set that down to like 1 and see what happens here. So now it's able to push on through and get over there and land on the other one. Now there's a bunch of stuff you could change with this. I mean, if you want it to push back, you're going to have to move some things around for that. To get it to come out right, probably. I'll let you adjust it. One thing we could change here, we could increase the acceleration on this, but then you don't want the thing to push back against this object too hard. One thing I might do is take that box and reduce its density so that it was like it doesn't weigh as much. And then now it's strong enough to push it aside. Well, you can see there's still some bugs to be worked out. Just tinker with it a little bit more. Move that down. I think I do want this to come out after all. Now let's see what we've got. Not bad. One last lesson on this. The servo is trying real hard to get over there. It's just not strong enough. Let's try turning down the damp. I'm not sure what that's going to do. The damp should really be its resistance. Oh! Well, you can see what the lack of a damp did. It's still swinging it over there, but it's pretty loose. Okay, so that's not too bad of a result in this particular case. The damp should really be its resistance to moving internally. So then even the low acceleration would move it back anyway. One last lesson. As far as materials go, if I want to paint this thing blue, the same color blue here, going into paint box, and let's say I don't want to search around and figure out what color blue I was using before, I'm going to hold down the Alt key, got the eyedropper, click right there. Now if we click on something else, it'll be the same blue color. Okay, let's knock that out, and there should be a section on your checklist for that.